Greetings to everyone on today's second video. My name is Jimmy, and you got on my channel. Thanks to everyone who supports me. This is very important. I will not detain you. Let's get started. Story 1 from user deleted. I was at the beach, and this lady was sunbathing in front of me with one of those aluminum tanning sheets. She had her leftover food in a styrofoam container wrapped in a plastic bag, and a couple of seagulls were beginning to grab at it. About 6 or 7 were sort of pecking at it, and I got up to shoo them away. More had congregated, and I tapped her shoulder to let her know what was up. She looked at me, rolled her eyes, and literally waved her hand, dismissing me, and laid back down. The 6 or 7 seagulls had doubled, and I once again got up, shooed them away, and alerted her to the upcoming disaster. She once again rolled her eyes, and was clearly not to be bothered by a concerned beachgoer. At this point, I was mildly hallucinating at the edible I had eaten early and said, "Dump it," and watched about 50 seagulls slaughter her leftovers. She got up in a frenzy, birds and food everywhere. Never have I ever laughed and pointed so hard at a person in my life. It was uncontrollable. Tears were streaming down my face as she got up, terrified and shocked at what had just happened. It was so satisfying, I don't think I've laughed harder at anyone else's expense since. Just thinking about it now brings back wonderful feelings. Story 2 from user deleted. Had been go-karting with a colleague before. I won, and he came second, or third, I can't remember. It was all in good fun, but we were a competitive bunch, and I'm sure his lower-tier podium stung quite hard. Fast forward a few months, and the guy was given a free go-karting session by a supplier. He'd invited everyone in the department, we're talking circa 30 people, except for me. And this was planned for months in advance. There was no conceivable way that he could have simply forgotten to invite me. He'd invited my closest colleagues and even staff, who'd simply sat near the department. Come race day, the department director was excitedly asking everyone if they were looking forward to it. He was a huge motorsport fan. He approached me too, but I explained that I wasn't allocated a space. He was shocked. He knew that I also really enjoyed racing. Made a call and got my name put down. My colleague caught wind of it and cited how we'd have to have one person left behind to man the phones. The director waved his hands around and said, "It's fine if it's only for a couple hours." Just then, the phone rang. My colleague answered, and it turned out to be a major issue with one of our systems. He was automatically roped into staying behind to deal with the issue, and missed the race. I then went on to win. Colin, you absolutely had it coming. Story 3 from user Nickmfolt. My now ex-wife was cheating on me with a, then, very good friend of mine. His fiancée was my ex's best girlfriend at the time. She discovered some less than savory texts between my ex and my friend. Caught him leaving my house one evening when I was out of town with work. Everything was exposed, and for whatever reason, I took some of the blame and tried to work things out with her. She wasn't having it. Said she was never happy, and that we never should have gotten married in the first place over 4 years earlier. Fast forward a little bit. I moved out of the house, and I get a call from her sobbing over the phone saying she's just lost her job. Apparently, she'd been bringing her new BF around to her job, which had her working at an all-girls Catholic school certain days during the week. The school didn't like the example she was setting for these impressionable young girls, and they called in a complaint about her. Pile this on top of her overall crappy performance at work, and she got fired on the spot. Justice. But wait, there's more. She couldn't afford the mortgage payment and stopped making payments altogether. They had to short sale her house for about 25% of what she still owed. Credits for years. She moves back in with her parents and brings the dude with her. Within a year, she's pregnant. And although we aren't friends on social media anymore, I do still keep in touch with her father. He was more of a friend to me than a FIL, and that's what hurt the most. I've seen some photos of her baby that my ex-FIL has posted, and I'll have to say, that is the ugliest baby I've ever laid eyes on. I might be biased, but I've also confirmed with others that this baby is hideous. Karma's and I'm now with the most perfect girl I've ever met, and we've been going strong for almost 3 years now. Dump you, Rachel. Story 4 from user deleted. I used to work at this burger joint called The Works. Real good food between just really pricey. Anyways, this one new guy named Jay gets transferred over from another Works restaurant to ours, so he could do his coop and also go to school. Long story short, he was a piece of trash from the start. Came in and basically thought he ran the show, bossing everybody around and treating them all like trash. The owner loved him, but all the staff hated him. Anyways, during one of our dinner rushes, I was on fryers and was deep frying some French fries for an order. Jay, who was on topping for the burgers, would sit there and trash on everyone for going too slow. We were making great time, and the food would be properly cooked, prepared, and sent out in 15 minutes max. It was honestly going really well, and everyone was doing great, yet Jay still shat on us for every little thing. He started to yell at me for not getting the fries on the next order yet. I checked the fries and they weren't cooked yet, so I kept them down and told him they're not done yet. He muffled something under his breath and storms across the line to come check on them. Anyways, we have this one deep fryer that didn't have any basket and was basically used as a backup in case we needed to clean out a fryer during the rush. On his little storm across the line, he slips on something and tries to catch himself, but falls right into the empty deep fryer, like I'm talking his entire hand, and part of his arm just went straight down into that thing. He pulled it out about 2 seconds later, but holy, was he ever in pain. Didn't even feel bad. Rest of the shift went a lot smoother too, while his bossy ass got driven to the hospital by our manager. Story 5 from user lingering farewell. Ex dumped me for his friend. He gaslighted me repeatedly whenever I'd voice out my concerns about his growing closeness with her, only for me to find out that he already started dating her, not even 2 months after he dumped me. They made their relationship official on Facebook in September last year, but were apparently dating as early as February 2016. He lied to friends whom he knew would call him out, but was pretty upfront about this to his enabler friends. The truth only came out fairly recently. He also gossiped about me with his enabler friends and the woman he dumped me for. She isn't innocent or blameless. She knew full well that my ex and I often had arguments because of her. Not even a year into their relationship, she started 2017 by dumping him. In March, he cornered her at an event she was staffing at and got her to agree to talk to him. They supposedly resolved things and became friends again, but their friendship soured after she publicly shared her story about being cornered. He got upset and said that she should have talked to him about the matter privately. He also said that she should have been honest with him instead of pretending that everything was okay. Now they're not even friends, and some of her friends also cut ties with him. And not only that, some of his former friends have also not been talking to him as much, because they felt betrayed and lied to when he told them trash things about me, lied to them about his feelings for that woman, still tried to defend himself after they found out when exactly he started dating her and cornered her. Some of them even got in touch with me just to apologize for taking him at face value and believing the gossip. Meanwhile, I'm focusing on living healthier and haven't had censored ideations in a year thanks to therapy. I'm pretty sure that my life, while not perfect, is better than his at the moment. Story 6 from user Sliced Nugget. At my work, banquet hall, there are stewards, we clean the dishes, and kitchen staff, they clean kitchen utensils and cook. Now at my job, there isn't always something to do. We have to wait for the dishes to be used, for them to get carted downstairs to our big industrial dishwasher, then we load them up and take them out. One day, I was not at this job at the time, my co-workers were sitting, waiting for the dishes to come downstairs so they could clean them. Our bosses hate when we sit around, but we do it anyway since they usually don't come downstairs to check on us. Well, that day, the kitchen staff came downstairs and saw the stewards, my co-workers, sitting around and reported them to the boss. The boss goes downstairs and says, you, go home now. He was pretty mad. They didn't go home, they started to find something to do. Well, the stewards were annoyed that the kitchen staff would rat them out like that, but they didn't say anything. They waited for revenge. One day, during a busy night, the kitchen staff comes downstairs with some of their dirty dishes and asks if we can clean them in the big industrial machine, so they don't have to. Immediately, the stewards told them, "Nope, you ratted us out. We aren't going to help you out." So the kitchen staff ended up having to stay later than usual and do more work cleaning each of the dishes by hand, upstairs where they're supposed to anyways. Story 7 from user Foreskin Curtains. I used to work at a high-volume 24/7 emergency animal hospital between the good and the bad part of town. I've been working there for about a year. We hired on this new doctor. During lunch, I really enjoyed sitting by myself in the back parking lot, away from public view because I can read, nap, cry, or spend the hour collecting thoughts and what have you. Back to this doctor, Dr. D. A lot of people love her. She was new and fresh, and she was radiant. At first I really liked her, but something happened that I don't really understand is that she began to single me out. She would yell at me in front of clients, would tell me all the things I do is wrong. Even when I asked her to show me her way, she would show me the exact same thing I was doing. The literally killed all the confidence I had as a vet tech, and I had to work with her as I am the swing team, and she is the swing team doctor. I remember not ever taking lunches, getting grilled at in front of other doctors, even though I was doing so good before she came along. It was hard. I was struggling really hard to please her while holding my composure. Anyway, when it's low rush times, co-workers and I would banter about things. She would always tell me, only me, to shut up. If it's not about animal medicine, then I can't talk. Moving on. I was on lunch break. A bunch of kids, age 18-20, were jumping a gate into our back parking lot. I called the hospital to send out a male tech to escort me back to the hospital, as the ruffians were smoking and looking in people's cars. I came back in with the tech. We called the police. I was really scared, telling everyone to make sure their doors are locked. Dr. D gave me the, "You clocked in. Stop talking about that. You are only allowed to talk about work," spiel in front of everyone. A week later, her car got smashed in and her wallet was stolen. In it, $450 on cash that she left on her car seat because she is a dumbass. It was a new car, but apparently she had other cars, which also got broken into weeks later. Story 8 from user Deleted. I served time in prison in my early 20s and was having a really bad day. Got pulled out of line for a random strip search on the way to breakfast. Then I called home and was told my dog was very sick and most likely gonna need to be put down. Then I see that I'm getting a new cellmate after 3 days of having the cell to myself. Then the CO calls me over and discreetly tells me that my new cellmate is locked up for raping his 9-month-old daughter and taking pics of it to trade online. That was the last straw. Was not gonna live in a cell with someone like that. So I went in and introduced myself, told him where his stuff could go, etc. Asked him what he was in for and to see his paperwork. Convicts are almost always in possession of court documents proving why they are incarcerated. It's standard practice to check each other's paperwork so you can know if someone is a rapist or a rat. And he said he was in for burglary, but didn't have any paperwork. So him not wanting to show me his paperwork verified to me that the CO was telling me the truth. So I left the cell and went over to the cleaning cart and grabbed the spray bottle with bleach solution in it and poured a bunch into my coffee cup. Walked back into the cell and threw it in his eyes. He grabbed his face and started screaming. I grabbed him by the shirt and threw him off his bunk and to the floor and proceeded to stomp on the side of his face 5 or 6 times until he was unconscious. Then I walked back downstairs to the CO station and told the CO that I just stomped the trash out of the molester they put in my cell. I broke his cheekbone and his orbital socket on the left side of his face. I ended up having to do 6 months in solitary for the assault, but the guy was too scared to press on me, so I didn't get a new criminal charge. He got what he deserved, and I got to vent my rage on someone who definitely had it coming. Thanks to everyone who was here today. See you tomorrow on new topics. Bye-bye.